Hello students, hope you all are fine. As we continue with our session Java programming, and for today's session we have a topic like modifiers. And modifiers is one of the most important topic in all object-oriented programming language. Okay, so modifiers is just a word or a phrase or just a clause. Basically, it is used to describe or change or modify the meaning of another words in some different ways. Okay. In object-oriented programming language, in modifiers is related to data abstraction and data hiding. In Java, we have two type of modifiers. One is access control modifiers, another is non-access control modifiers. Okay, the access control modifiers use in all four levels. Okay, or this access control modifiers can be implemented in all four levels. Like in class levels, we can also use in variable levels, we can also use in method levels, same way we can use the constructor level as well. In access control modifiers having four different types. One is the private, protected, public and default. Okay, when a class is declared as private, then the class is only visible to itself. That means the class cannot be visible to others. Okay, or if a data members or member variables that is declared as a private, then that member variables and member functions are only visible to the class. Okay, we cannot access that properties of that class. The second is protected. Basically, this protected is same as private, but it is quite different in case of inheritance. While we are discussing about the inheritance, we will go through detail that about the protected. The similar way, there is another access modifiers is that is a public. The public access modifier is visible to all. That means when we declare public variables or public methods or public constructor, that means we can access outside of the class. Okay, or the property of the class is declared with a public, then we can access that property outside of the class. So default, if you are not using any private, protected and public, then that is called default. That means basically the default is only visible to a single package. So here default and protected both are little bit same, because protected also visible to package only, default is also visible to package only. But when we are using in inheritance concept or inheritance mechanism, in that case protected is visible to all subclasses. Okay, so there is another type of modifiers that is called non-access modifiers. These non-access modifiers also implemented in classes, variables, methods, and constructor as well. So it also have four different types. One is static, final, abstract, and synchronized. Basically, the static modifiers is used for calling the methods and variables without an object to which it is belongs. If we are using the static for a static modifier in case of methods or in a variable, then we can call that method and variable without the use of the object of a class where that properties are defined. Okay, the similar way final is also a non-access modifiers. Basically, it is used for finalizing the implementation of classes, methods, and variables. So basically, the final is used in inheritance. Okay, when we are going to implement there, in that case, we are using the final. In other cases, also we are going to use the final, because in some cases the final is the final variable value cannot be altered. Okay, we'll see later on. The next one is abstract. The abstract modifier is used for creating the abstract classes and methods. So this is also related to data abstraction and data hiding. Okay, then the last one is synchronized and volatile. So these synchronized and volatile basically used for thread application, or in case of thread, these modifiers are used. Okay, basically all access modifiers, both access modifiers and non-access modifiers, some are used to fulfill the data abstraction property of of object oriented programming. Okay, in object oriented programming, data abstraction is one of the most important features. Clear? So next one important thing is variable. So in all programming language, variable is very one of the important topic, because without variable a program cannot be fulfilled. Most of the program cannot be finished. Okay. So variable is nothing but is simply a memory location. All variables which we are defined inside a program, then that is reserve a memory location. Suppose we want to create a variable a in a program. When we write the syntax or when we write the code int a, that moment only or that time only a reserves a memory location. So here may question arise that which memory location a variable is created. For your kind information, you should know that all programming languages running from the RAM only. It is not from secondary memory. Or we know that all programming language, whatever running inside the computer, that executes from RAM. Okay. So when we create a variable or when our code is executed that variable line, then it will create the space for variable in RAM. Okay. So basically it is of three types in Java, or we have three types of variables in Java. One is local variable, another is instance variable, and another one is class or static variable. Okay. So let's discuss about the local variable. The variable which is declared in method, constructor or block, that is called local variable. Okay. So here one of the most important thing is that we can declare a variable inside the class at any places. Okay, because it supports the dynamic initialization. Okay, dynamic declaration. That means we can declare any variable at any place inside the class. So if a variable is declared inside the method or inside the constructor or any block of code, then that is called local variable. Or in some sense you can say that that variable is only exist within that block or within that limit. Okay, if a method contains a variable, then the life of that variable is within that method only. We cannot access that variable outside of the method. The same way happening in case of constructor and blocks as well. So this is one of the most important point for local variable. That means in access modifiers, whatever access modifiers we have, like uh, private, protected, and public, that access modifier cannot be implemented in local variables. Okay, I'm not talking about the non-access modifiers. That is a different thing. I'm talking about the access modifiers. These access modifiers cannot be used in local variables. Okay, this is one of the most important point. So when this local variable is created inside the memory, so when the execution is entered into the method or constructor or block, then only the local variable is created. Okay. If our program is having three or four, five methods, and first method is called, then second method is called, and third method is called. When the third method is called, if the local variable is there, that time only it creates the memory or it starts to execute. Okay. So this is the syntax. This is the class A. We'll discuss what is class, what is A, why it is written like this. We'll discuss. Okay. So here A, and this is a constructor. This A is a constructor. This A, it is a constructor. Okay. So inside this constructor, that means this is the inner block of this constructor. Inside the constructor, we declare this variable int a equals to 25, right? So such type of declaration or such type of variable is called local variable. We cannot implement that local variable with access modifiers. And this variable is execute, or you can say this variable is created when this method is encountered. So this constructor is executed, starts to execute, that time only this variable is created. Okay. So let's see with an example of local variable. So this is the Java program. Okay, this is the Java program. So the name of this program is local variable.java. This is the name of this file. Okay, this is the Java file because this the extension name defines that type of the file. So the extension name of this file is .java, so that it is the Java file. So in the first case, this is the public. This public is called access modifier. This class is the keyword, right? Here this public is also a keyword and class is a keyword, but the working of public is different, the work of class is different. Okay, but both are keywords and both are defined inside the compiler. Okay, so this is the local variable, this is the name of the class. Okay, this is the name of the class, and this name of the class is completely defined by a person or a user, or the name is given by the user. So here the one of the nomenclature of the class is that the class name should be start with a capital letter. Okay, this is the nomenclature. Okay, we should always start the class name with a capital letter. It's a good practice. Okay, so after the class name there is a curly braces. Okay, and the curly braces end here. So we say that this is the block of this class local variable. Okay, this is the block of the class local variable, and inside that local variable class we have a method that is called main method. Okay, and we know that in Java programming every program starts from the main function, right? And this main function having some keywords here. Let me define one by one. So this is public. As you know that public is access modifier. That means it can be accessible without the use of object of the class. Okay. The static is a keyword. Sorry, the static is a keyword, and the static is used to execute the program, execute the method, or the static is basically um, when the static is used inside the method can be executed without the creating the object. Okay, but public is use that here because this method is available throughout this program. Okay, throughout this program means throughout the local variable.java file. Okay, so void means that is the return type of the method. Okay, return type of method, and the string is a class name and args argument. The whole is a argument. This args is a argument of type string. Okay, and this args is nothing but it is the array argument. Okay, basically this argument is related to runtime argument. There is two time. Okay, compile time and runtime. When after the compilation, when we are going to running the program, during that time we can supply the value to the main function. Okay, that variable is captured through this args variable. Okay, this is the string variable and it is a array type. Okay, and basically this variable takes the data at the runtime. Clear? Then second, then the sorry, third line is the object creation. Okay, this is the class name, this is the object name. Okay, but here many says that is the class name is the object name, but I said that I know that this is the object and this is the data type, the type of that object. Okay, with many programming language it says that the type of the object. Okay, if you see Python or if you see any other object oriented programming language, then you find that this object. Okay, this object is the data type. This A is a data type of that object. Okay, so here new operator is used to create the object, or it allocate the memory in object. This is the constructor. Or okay, the constructor is basically to initialize the object. When this line is execute here, then it just go to the class A because the data type of the object is A and it is initialized with the constructor. Okay, clear? So in that case, it will look, it will just search that where the class A is defined. Okay, here the class A is defined. Then it will execute, or it will access the all data members and member function of the class A. Okay, this is the constructor. We will read what is constructor, what is the main important thing of constructor, we will discuss later on. Okay, so inside the constructor I define a variable, or I declare a variable with its definition. Okay, I declare a variable integer a equals to 25. The same, when I am declaring a variable, the same time I also initialize that variable, and through this output statement I print the variable a. Okay, so as I said, this local variable can be created inside a method, can be created inside a constructor or any block of code. Okay, or any block of code, but we cannot implement that access modifier inside that variables. This public, the public cannot be used here. Okay, if you are going to use the public here, then it will show the error, it will give the error. Okay, so this is the println, this is the method that simply takes some string, is string with some variable as its argument. Then this method, this out is an object of system class, and inside the system class the println is there, and this println is uh, executed with the help of this object out. Okay, so that I am writing system.out.println. So here one important thing is that just see the the name of the class. As I said, the name of the first letter of the class name should be capital. So system is a class, so that S is capital. String is a class, so that S is capital. So remember, when we are declaring, when you are declaring a class name, or when you are writing the class name, better to use capital letter with its capital letter as its starting number. Okay, starting letter. So after that, or when we execute this example, we'll get the result. Local variable is 25. Okay, so again I would like to repeat here, the local variables, I have 3 points only. First point is that the variable can be created inside the method, inside a constructor, or inside a block of code. Second point is there there is any kind of access modifiers cannot be used inside the local variables, or local variable cannot support the access modifiers. Okay, and the third point is that, what is the third point? The third point is that, let's see. Okay, this this is created when the method or constructor or block of code starts to execute. Okay, there are three important points. Clear? So we'll see the next type. The next type is instance variable. Okay, so instance variable basically declared inside the class. Okay, instance variable basically declared inside the class, and all access modifiers can be implemented in instance variable, or all access modifiers can be used in instance variable. Okay, here the value can be assigned. So it's the general term, when we declare a variable we must assign the value. Okay, so this is the syntax. This is my class A, int a equals to 25. That means the variable is created inside the class. Okay, that means outside of the class. So here a question is that, if a variable is declared or inside the function, then we can say that as this function is inside the class A, then we say that the variable A is declared inside the class A. No, this is not the argument. So this is not a valid argument. Okay, so in declaration of class, or declared in class means after the class statement, after the declaration of the class statement, the variable should be declared. Okay, this is the syntax. So here is a file. We have a file, that instance variable.java file. Again, this file is a Java file. Okay, so this is the main function. the main function is written inside the class, and the name of that class name and the file name should be same. Okay, remember it. The class name where the main function is defined, that name and the class name should be same. Here instance variable and instance variable both are same. Okay, you cannot write here small I and you cannot write here capital I. If you write in capital I, then this file name should be started with the capital I. Okay, as it is a class name, the starting letter should be capital one. Okay, so as I said, it is a access modifiers or is the public access. This is the class keyword, and both are keyword and reserve word. This is a public static void main. This is the importance that of the main function is that from here the program starts to execute, and inside the main function we have some codes, like we have to create the object of the class A. Through this statement we can create the object of the class A. Okay, and through this object we can execute the property of a class A. Okay, so here the property is a display is defined inside the class A. This display can be executed, or this display can be invoked by using the object of the class A. Okay, and this is the way we can invoke the display class. Okay, so inside the class A we declare a variable A inside the class A. Means after the statement of the class A, we just define or declare a class A, sorry, variable A. This is the constructor. Inside the constructor also we can use A. We can use A here, and inside the function of the class we can use A. Okay, so now this variable can be used inside the class. Okay, at any time. So when we execute this code, we'll get this result. The instance variable from constructor is 25. The instance variable of constructor 25. So here the plus is used because in C++ programming or C programming, you might have noticed that percentage %d, you are using the percentage %d, the format specifier. Okay, and after that you put a comma here, then only you can write A. But in this case, you have to use plus. Okay, plus A. That means it will concatenate the result with the variable. Okay, this is the string, the simply a string. It will display here. A is a variable, and it will replace the value 25 here. When this line is execute, this A is replaced with the value 25. So here this is happening. The instance variable from display method. That means we can also access that instance variable inside any method, inside any class. Sorry, constructor. Okay. So here is another line is here, that is a comment line. The comment line means the line which cannot be captured by the compiler, or it is completely ignored by the compiler. Okay, but when we put a double slash / before the line, okay, or the starting of the line, then this line is ignored by the compiler and it is considered as a compile time. Sorry, command line. Okay, so there is two type of command line in Java programming. One is a single command line and the multiple command line. If you put /*, then you can write any statement, then // that is called multiple command line. In that we can write multiple command line. This is the single command line. If you put double // then that complete line can be ignored by the compiler. Okay, so this is instance variable. This is all about instance variable. Then our third one variable is class or static variable. Okay, so it is very simple. Just it is declared the static keyword inside the class. Okay, so it is created, or it can be created outside a method or constructor or block. Okay, when a static keyword is used there. Okay, so this is the example here. Class A static int A equals 25 void display. Okay, you can do it. So again, this is the block of statement, and the block of statement is ignored by this command line, or it is defined with the command line. Okay, so this is the program. This program is static. This file name of the file is static variable.java. Again, I will like to repeat here. .java means it defines that the file is a Java file. Okay, so here the class name, the name of the class and name of the file should be same where the main method is defined. Okay, the class where the main method is defined. Clear? So this is the class A, static int a equals 25. That means a static variable or class variable. Okay, this variable can be accessed uh, inside the method or inside the constructor. Okay, and the method also use the access specifier. If I am writing here public, then it can be accessible through this object. If I am writing private, then this display cannot be accessible here, because private completely restrict to this class A only. That means we can implement that display method inside the class A only. We cannot use that thing outside of the class. Okay, in the next few coming classes we will discuss on that. Okay, we'll do small programs and we just observe the behavior of access modifiers. Okay, so this is the output. That means the static variable also accessible inside a constructor or inside a method. Okay, we can also access that variable through this object here also, obj.a, then can be used here. Okay, so for this session we have this much only, that is modifiers. We discuss about modifiers and we also discuss about variables. So modifiers, two types. One is access modifier and non-access modifiers. We have different type of access modifiers and we have different type of non-access modifiers. Okay, we also discuss that four different type of access modifiers like private, protected, public, and default. There is also four different type of non-access modifiers. One is static, then final, then synchronous, and mm, that is abstract. Okay, we also discuss about variables. That variables basically reserve a memory space when you create a variable. It is three types. One is local variables, okay, and instance variable, and third one is class or static variables. Okay, in both instance variable and class and static variable we can use the access modifiers, but we cannot use the access modifier inside the local variables. Clear? So thank you so much. Thank you for today's class.